banter. Balls and banter. No excuses, just win, win, win with your balls and banter. We got balls, we got pucks, we got sticks. Now, we got everything in between. We got balls and banter.
All right, folks, welcome to the show Tuesday. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you had a great weekend. Another fantastic sports weekend for you folks out there. Another crazy-ass weekend for everything else going on in the world today. To Tom, looking dapper and delightful as usual, D squared.
It's St. Patrick's Day.
It is. It sure is. None of us wearing green.
I'm wearing orange.
Yeah. Well, that's the second color in the St. Patrick's Day lineage. The color, if you look at their branding guide, it's orange. It's St. Patrick's Day today. I got to say real quick, we're not going to be here tomorrow, but tomorrow's something too.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tom Cunningham. You sultry, sweet treat. Happy birthday to you. Let's keep it going. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tom Cunningham.
You magnificent man who called out how casual Fridays at work ruin society and lay or may not be moving to live in an isolated cabin in the woods in the near future.
Happy birthday to you. I said, happy birthday to you.
You beautiful son of a bitch.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
Happy pre-birthday, Tom Cunningham.
Well, thank you very much. That was a very thoughtful present there.
Did you like it? I
Oh,
made
it's
sure that it was
fantastic.
perfect for you.
Oh, yeah. 70s funk and soul.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Cabin in the woods.
Yeah. Casual Friday. I worked in
Casual
some
Friday?
very
Yeah.
Tom Cunningham moments. I shouldn't say I did. The singers did all the work. I just gave them some
Singers are
ideas.
great. The Chantels are fantastic.
Yes, so good.
Yeah.
We'll try and get them live in studio at some point. But we are going to miss tomorrow. So happy birthday. I'll obviously tell you that tomorrow. But
Well, thank you.
I figured the audience would enjoy a fun, kind of offbeat, different version of happy birthday. By the way,
Copyrights.
Chris and Brandon have previewed it. They previewed a couple different versions too. So it had the MPA guys' approval.
Well, thank you, fellas.
Absolutely. So from Tom's birthday tomorrow, send him some love. Go sign up for his Substack, Accidental Education. Go follow his show. Do all those things. Denny Hamlin it was the Pennzoil 400 in Las Vegas. And obviously this race has been off to, an interesting season. Tyler Reddick goes on his three-peat. Ryan Blaney and his beautiful mustache win last week in Phoenix, and they're in Vegas this week. Fun race, not as crazy as this past weekend. Denny Hamlin wins for Joe Gibbs Racing. It's a weird thing, too. Here's what's weird about NASCAR, and particularly Denny Hamlin. Not that Denny Hamlin himself is weird. He's a stud. He's a co-owner of Jordan's team, which, of course, has Tyler Reddick. But he's racing for Joe Gibbs. So I just find that fascinating. Like, you don't see that in any other sport where you're playing and you own, and in this case you co-own but then are racing for a different team. It's an interesting thing. There's his car. Yahoo went crazy with the O's there. But this is 61st career win, passes Kevin Harvick for 10th all time. fifth driver in Cup Series to win 20 different seasons, along with Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, Dale Earnhardt, and Jeff Gordon. Not bad company to keep, I would say. So it was a fun race. Didn't win any of my bets on it. That part sucked. But it was a good time.
That's a pretty good group to belong to. But you're right. What you're saying at the top of this, being a part car owner with Jordan and then racing for Joe Gibbs Racing, it's like, okay, where do your loyalties lie?
Right.
It's very confusing to me.
It is. Well, like, do you take, you don't, obviously. You want both teams to win, so you're not taking out, Tyler Reddick or Bubba Wallace in the race. Like, they're safe. They're essentially your allies, even though they're also very much your competition. But you're making the money no matter what happens. You've got 4 shots for your current team or your owned team to win. Like, maybe that's why he's doing it. It's like, this is low stress.
It's a great revenue stream.
Yeah. Crazy. From the track to the golf course, all of the people have so graciously and kindly left my hometown. Thanks for coming. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Cameron Young won the Players' Championship, the 5th non-official major, first major tournament of the year here at TPC Sawgrass. Impressive performance. Let me just tell you, Cameron Young belongs in like a Taylor Sheridan show, like especially one of the Western ones. He does a lot of stuff outside of that too now, but like, this is a handsome son of a gun. He's got the flowing locks behind, the beard sharp. Like, yes. That's a handsome dude who played his ass off, had a great tournament. Oberg was in charge most of it, just kind of fumbled on Sunday. Xander was in the mix. It was a good tournament, and it came down to the end like it usually does at the Players, and Cam Young comes out with the win. So congrats to him. Fun time. Good weather for the most part. Opened up like crazy right after the tournament was done. So you people who came into town probably got rained on. Good riddance. Just kidding. I'm glad they come. I just hate the traffic. It was a fun deal. He won. Fun tournament. It was a fun tournament.
Yeah, it was fun. The times that I tuned in to watch it, I just, anytime that golf is on, I enjoy it. One thing though, I want you to clear up for everybody who's listening, because I woke up, I think Sunday morning, and one of the news alerts I got was shooting at Sawgrass, and then it said into the article, or shooting at TPC,
right?
And then you get into it. Well, it was close. It was a mile away. And then so I started thinking. I was trying to figure out in my own head where the shooting took place, and to me it was like, okay, it's a mile from Sawgrass. Do they mean from where you go into like the first guard gate? Because obviously it wasn't on the grounds. But the media tried, it was like they were bending over backwards to try and tie this shooting into the security concerns to the tournament. So if you could just like briefly, if you could just explain, the geography of where the shooting took place to where the tournament was.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because I meant to mention it, and it was an interesting night. So again, this riffraff comes into town. This kind of stuff doesn't happen in Ponte Vedra Beach. This riffraff comes into town, all of a sudden you've got manhunts underway. It's like, what the hell's going on here? So, and we got texts to stay in our house, because what happened was the shooting happened at Walgreens, which is right across from the PGA Tour headquarters, and actually on foot to the backside of the course where you can go in, it's less than a mile, to like the main entrance that they're using for the mile. It's a mile, give or take. So it's actually closer proximity, which is how and why he actually fled onto the course and into a neighborhood that I may or may not live in. And so then the manhunt was happening with canines and everything on the course for a while. Couldn't find him. He steals a BMW, flees Sawgrass, goes north up to Fernandina Beach, which is about an hour from here. Eventually is caught at 8 a.m., And here's the other interesting thing. My wife gets a text, stay inside. There's an active duty manhunt after a murder, in your area, that the person is in your vicinity. I didn't get one of those texts.
Well, they knew that you would open up your door, black out the house, and sit on your couch with a gun.
Is he in the prone position on his roof? He sure is.
It seems like Drew's waiting for somebody.
Yeah, so that's what happened. Like it had nothing to do with the tournament. The person did come onto the grounds after the murder, the double homicide, killed 2 people who apparently he knew. There was that part's still unclear. It's like a domestic dispute. None of them were from St. Johns County. None of them were anyways, it happens. Flees there, gets caught later, and they delayed the opening of the gates. But it was kind of crazy. It's not the kind of drama we typically have in these parts.
I'm going to go on a limb and say there was probably alcohol or drugs involved with this.
Well, here, you know what's crazy? Last thing on this, maybe not the last thing. Sheriff Hardwick, who I think is a good dude in St. Johns County, they announced when this happened, because it's in his jurisdiction, this dude had been arrested 27 times before. And he was like, this is embarrassing for the law, for the justice system. Like, having someone like this. Now, obviously, hopefully, you would hope, probably not in this crazy ass day and age, you'd hope that this dude goes away now for life with a double homicide. Murdering 2 people, not exactly the best thing for your record. But 27 times. Yeah, I mean, I think there's drugs, alcohol. I think there's a history of all sorts of stuff. I don't know what we're doing, letting people. I'm all for second chances. I'm not for 28th chances. That's kind of a different story.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the escalation from arrest number 1 to arrest number 28. There was an increase to how if it started off with shoplifting or possession, and then ultimately on 28 turns into double homicide.
Yeah. Yep. Well, crazy times. Glad that it didn't affect the tournament. Sorry for whoever those people are. Sounds like they knew them, but yeah, that was the excitement in town this week. Okay, let's take a quick break because we got a lot more stuff I want to get to. So don't go anywhere. Please hit that like button. We're going to talk about the NCAA. March Madness is here, folks. Brackets drop Sunday. Selection Sunday is gone. We got games today. It starts. So that's all coming up. Stick around.
Are you sick of hearing how all the home security solution companies keep pushing their newfound tech, super easy installation, and superb customer service? We get it, and we get security. We also get that protecting your loved ones, your home, and prized possessions within it is super important. That's why we've taken a different approach to home security. Forget the high-speed tech that could get knocked out with a heavy storm, or some obsolete system that relies on an old phone line in your house, and lean on something tried and true. Cougar Home Defense. You see, our approach is much different. Criminals most often strike out of convenience and are routinely scared away by bright lights, a loud dog, and of course, the most feared noise in the burglary community, the sound of a round being chambered in a shotgun. But why settle for the tried and true basics when you can take things to the next level? That's where we come in. When you call Cougar Home Defense, we'll connect you with one of our customer success associates who will get you scheduled for your big cat's delivery. And we're not talking about Garfield or some overweight house pet. No. We're talking a big-ass man-eater cat that's highly adaptive to multiple habitats. So say goodbye to criminals and say hello to peace of mind that only your new jungle cat can bring. Individual results may vary. Cougar Home Defense cannot guarantee the safety of your family or possessions. Cougar Home Defense sends your big-ass jungle cat with 24 hours worth of food. Owners are responsible for additional food and or accessories. In most cases, your cat will sustain himself without your assistance. You'll see what we mean.
I don't know if there's anyone who has more fun than the Balls and Banter voiceover guy. Here's the deal. I want to pay you to read this. He has a blast. He loves it. He loves it. He's always blown away by what is sent his way, but he always does a great job. It's a good gig. Good gig. We do need. That said, he's the best. We need some other ones. We need some other voices. We'll figure that out. So March Madness is here, folks. It is time. We've got a game tonight. The first four kicks off today. And, man, the brackets really, for the most part, went about how you'd think that they would go. We'll start in the East. You've got Duke getting that first 1 seed, the overall 1 seed, taking on Siena. Ohio State gets an 8 seed. They're taking on TCU. St. John's, a lot of people think maybe got snubbed a little bit here, getting a 5 seed. Maybe should have been higher. They're taking on Northern Iowa, who's a good basketball program. St. John should win, but also those 5-12 games are always dicey. Kansas taking on California Baptist. They got the 4 seed. Louisville, South Florida, 6 and 11. Michigan State got a 3rd seed. They'll take on the Bison, North Dakota State. UCLA, UCF at the 7 and 10 there. UConn gets the 2 seed in the East. So let's stop there, Tom. Let's stop there and let's just talk about the East for a second. Duke is playing out of their minds right now. I think that they're Duke, then Michigan, depending on the odds that you're looking at, are right at the top, but Duke's rest at the top for who's most likely to win this whole damn thing. They're playing really good. I think St. John's is a nasty opponent in there. Michigan State is both nasty because of Fierce kicking you in the balls, but also because they're a Tom Izzo coach team. UConn, obviously great. UCLA has finished reasonably well. They could be interesting. I don't know that they can beat UConn, but it's an interesting first bracket.
Yeah, I think the committee got it right. I don't see any issues with it whatsoever. You're right, Duke is on a roll, and you're also right that St. John's, Rick Pitino, you can't discount the guy. I see them going pretty deep into this. I see, of course, Duke going deep, but I don't see them winning it.
Okay, that's interesting. We're going to come back to that. Let's go down, staying on the left side of your bracket, to the South. Florida gets the 1 seed there. They weren't the second overall 1 seed, but they get the 1 seed there. And they don't know who they're playing yet because we've got the play-in games today, but they're going to play a 16 seed. The winner of tonight's game that I think is at 5:40, if I'm not mistaken. I will pull that up because we have it over on air.bro. You can see that. Let me tell you who this will be. Also, the World Baseball Classic Finals tonight. So
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. U.S. taking on Venezuela. Couple decent NBA games. Couple decent hockey games as well. But the first four. So you've got UMBC and Howard tip off at 5:40. The winner of that will play the Florida Gators. Good luck. Gators, defending national champions, and they're hot. They're playing well. Clemson, Iowa below that. This is going to be a tricky one for people to pick in their brackets. Clemson had some quality wins this year. Iowa's that team that, whether it's football or basketball, you just don't want to play them. They're just always good enough. Sometimes they're great, but even when they're not, you don't want to play them. Very defensive team. They slow things down more than I think anybody probably in the entire tournament. That one's going to be a tough one for people to pick. Maybe it's not. Maybe some people are like, nope, this is my gut. I'm going with it. I think that's going to be a tough one to pick. Vanderbilt.
Drew,
yes.
I'm sorry. I got some trivia for you about Iowa at Kinnick Stadium.
Okay.
Are you ready for this one? Mm-hmm. Kinnick Stadium is named after Niall Kinnick, who won the Heisman Trophy in 1939 and is the only Heisman Trophy winner to be killed in combat during World War II.
Are you saying true or false?
No, I'm just saying.
You're just telling me the facts. Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
What a great stadium.
Yeah, he's the only Heisman Trophy winner ever to be killed in combat.
God rest his soul. Thank you for your service. Niles Kinnick. That's you don't want to play there. You're gonna have a tiny, old, pink wall visiting locker room. So it's going to be a terrible setup, and it's going to be pink, and they've just always done it that way. And then you're going to play in front of a raucous crowd. I love how they take the end of the first quarter and wave to the kids battling cancer in the hospital there that overlooks the field. That's an interesting trivia. Great sports institution right there.
Yes. And plus you have the ghost of Niles who's going to be in there. You know, you're the same age he was. Well, you're younger. And he had already won a Heisman Trophy and was stacking Japanese bodies while you're sitting in there collecting NIL money.
Well, in fairness, he is better and more superior. But some of these guys are older than him because now with the NIL and transfer.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's like how long you been in for in prison. It's like how long you've been around in this locker room. Since 1987.
I like the graphic now that you see with players, and it usually says, you know, freshman, sophomore. It just says graduate.
Yeah. And they need to clarify just to show how ridiculous it is. Graduated 3 years ago. Like that needs to add a little color to it.
2017 graduate.
Yes. Continuing with the South, Vanderbilt takes on McNeese. They lost to Arkansas in the SEC championship this weekend, but Vandy's playing really good basketball. They have some really good wins. I think that they're a team that can make a pretty deep run. Deep run is subjective. That could be Sweet 16. That could be whatever. Nebraska, Troy. Nebraska had a hell of a year. It's really weird, Nebraska being good at basketball, but they had a hell of a year. This one right here is interesting. North Carolina, VCU. Tom, if I'm North Carolina, I don't like drawing VCU in the first round.
No. You know, when I did my selections, I picked North Carolina just out of you know, liking them and wanting them to, trying to will them to get out of the first round. But to me, this is a trap because I think it's going to be VCU.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to sway anyone, but I think when I go to make my picks, it's going to be hard not to pick VCU in this one. That's a trap game. Now, is North Carolina better? Yes. Is North Carolina missing their best player? Yes. Is VCU hot and VCU always just that team that you don't want to draw in March Madness? The answers to all those things are yes. Sets up for an interesting matchup.
But you know what? You know what swayed me finally was the fact that Hubert Davis still wears suits on the sidelines.
Fair point. God bless him. God bless him. He does. He looks great. Illinois, Penn next. Illinois has had a great year. I don't like the Ivy schools. If you went to an Ivy school, I'm sorry that you paid so much money for nothing. You know, athletics is not their thing. Not saying they can't win. Illinois had a great year, though. St. Mary's, Texas A&M. St. Mary's the 7 seed, Texas A&M the 10 seed. We'll just move on. Houston had a great year, too. They're taking on the 15 seed Idaho. So Houston, Florida, obviously the big dogs in that one. Vandy, a tricky one. Nebraska, a tricky one there. Illinois. There's several teams. This bracket compared to the one up top, I think, has a little bit more. Yes, there's St. John's. Yes, Michigan State's up there in the East. But I think, you know, by my count, there's at least 3 other teams who could, outside of surprises and Cinderellas, there's at least 3 other teams that could emerge from this if they catch a hot hand.
Yeah, there is, but I just don't see. I mean, it would have to be. I don't know. I feel like the way that these brackets are set up right now, whoever, you know, the top seed is going to move on unless there is, you know, like the Carolina VCU game. Then, but I think everything else is pretty much. I think you can bank on the rest of it.
Yeah, no, I think it's this is one of those years where it's not fun to pick it in some regards because you're like, well, I look like a girl picking the Final Four because I'm going to put all the 1 seeds in the Final Four because the 1 seeds are all really good teams. The only teams that will beat the 1 seeds and prevent them from getting to play in a Final Four are those 1 seed teams. They're either going to beat themselves or they're going to be there.
Right. And in a way, I don't know. It seems to me in the past that the unpredictability of the tournament is what made it so much fun. And this go around, at least right now, the way it's set up, it seems very predictable.
Yeah. Well, because NIL has penetrated basketball too. You know, you'd have the big schools are still the big schools. They're still the best. They're the hardest to beat. But you take a school like Michigan's a great example. Obviously, I have some bias there, and I have concerns about how we've played the last several games. We still look good. We haven't looked like the team all year. Granted, we've been playing in the Big Ten Conference tournament against teams who have seen us multiple times. They know us better than most. But you take a brand like Michigan, which is among the best in college sports, and then you add NIL money to it, and then you add a coach like Dusty May, and you build this – I mean, that roster is insane. So, to your point, you know, VCU and Florida Gulf Coast and this team and that team, like, you had some amazing runs. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's hard to keep up with that because they can just outspend you. So, yeah, it has changed the dynamic a little bit. I feel like it's changed how you pick things, too. Going to the West, top right corner of your bracket, Arizona, the number 1 seed. Hell of a year. Gosh, they had a great year. Taking on Long Island. Sorry, Long Island. Villanova, Utah State, Wisconsin taking on High Point. Wisconsin sneaky good too. Again, Wisconsin and Iowa, football and basketball. You don't want to draw them. Arkansas won the SEC championship. They're taking on Hawaii. BYU taking on the winner of Texas and NC State. Gonzaga, Kennesaw State. Did you see that dude from Gonzaga land on the cheerleader, by the way, the other day?
No.
He got shoved into her and totally leaned in, was talking
What's
to
up?
her, got caught up in the moment. The players had to be like, hey, we're still playing a game. I know she's a hot cheerleader. We're still playing a basketball game. Miami, Missouri, a team to watch. Miami's good, but Missouri, their record against top 25 teams this year, some of the people they've played, some of the people they've beat, impressive. And then Purdue, who just beat Michigan in the Big Ten championship Sunday. Not that I'm upset about it, but they had a great year. Man, that's a white team. White bearded team. Some of those dudes are balding as much as I am. They're not just white, they're a traditional white team. They finished that game, put on a sweater and some slacks and sat down to a nice family dinner. That's who they are, and I like it. But they're good. They're good. What do you think about the West?
Well, I'm going to give away my bracket right now. I have Purdue going to the championship and winning.
Wow. It's possible, man. It's possible. They're a good team. You're going to have to take down Arizona. But they totally can. They totally can. I think not to that extent. I'm not saying they're going to get even to the finals in this bracket. But when Arkansas plays well, obviously they're well coached. But when Arkansas plays well, they've been really good this year too, and just won the SEC championship this weekend. So that could be interesting. All right, Midwest, Michigan, the top seed. They are going to face the winner of a play-in game. Then you've got Georgia St. Louis, who's waiting for them. Texas Tech, Akron. Texas Tech had a pretty good year. Alabama, Hofstra. We're coming back to Alabama to you guys in a second because you've had some things that have changed how this works. Tennessee taking on a first four opponent to be determined. Virginia versus Wright State. Kentucky versus Santa Clara. And then the number 2 seed in this bracket, Iowa State, taking on Tennessee State. There's a lot of shakeup here. Michigan, obviously the best team in the bracket. If they play the way they're capable of playing, they make it to the Final Four. And potentially win the whole damn thing. But I will say this, I'm not going to pick Michigan to win the whole damn thing, even though I really, really want them to, because it just puts so much pressure on me. And then I'm losing a bet and part of my soul, so I just don't do it. If the Vikings ever make it to a Super Bowl in my lifetime, I will not bet on them to win, because I can't handle all of that. In fact, anyways, I was going to say, I don't even know if I'm going to watch that game, but it might kill me. But Michigan, the top dog here. Texas Tech has had a good year. Georgia's been scoring out of their ass. Virginia is a sneaky good team here that I think could come out of the Virginia-Iowa State matchup that's likely to happen.
Yeah.
So that's something to pay attention to.
Yeah, Iowa State, I think, is playing really good basketball right now, and I see them going really deep in as well. But, I mean, if everything goes the way that I think it's going to go, I have Iowa State beating Virginia.
Okay. I think that I'll probably go the other way. And can I tell you why, too? Because they've both been playing great basketball, but my gut tells me because Iowa State's red unis on the road and the yellow stripes that they've got on their side are so terrible that I need them. I like Iowa State. I have no problem with you people of Ames, Iowa. God bless you.
It's the wardrobe.
It's the wardrobe. Can we just have a normal uniform? Like take your colors and take Arizona's uniform or Duke's or Michigan's and then just do it that way. But you got this weird stuff. I can't take it. I can't take it, and I will not support it. Not happening.
I wish one team would bring back throwback uniforms where you have the belt, but not like a real belt, but like a fake
Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would be outstanding. Well, in that bracket that we just discussed, there's a team who should still win. Who do they play? They play Hofstra to start. But Alabama going to be without their second leading scorer, Aden Holloway. Because, and again, I think they still win. And I still think that they could go on and beat the winner of Texas Tech Akron too. But you're losing your second leading scorer, Aden Holloway, because he was arrested on 2 felony drug charges and has been removed from campus. And Coach Oates, who's a great basketball coach at Alabama, saying that they're planning to play without him. They're preparing to go without Holloway. This is an interesting story. Certainly could make some impact, may not. They've played with some injuries and some other things throughout the year, and they've still been okay. But he was arrested for weed. The West Alabama Narcotics Task Force did the search, found it, said he didn't have a stamp, and I'll let you weigh in with your comments.
Didn't have a stamp. Welcome to big government.
Yeah, that's it. That's a big part of this story.
A couple of things jump out at me at this story. One, it's not like he was pulled over and found roaches in his ashtray. This was a search warrant that was conducted, so there was some sort of investigation that went along with it. So either he had been selling weed and somebody he had sold to got busted with it and flipped on him, or this weed had gotten out there and gotten on the radar of this task force who decided to do control buys and it purchased from him. So either way, it shows to me that there is, distribution involved. Is it a big deal? It's legal in Alabama, but you have to have your stamp because Uncle Sam wants his money. So my question is, the university has come out and said that, he's no longer allowed on campus. He wasn't living on campus anyways, and probably wasn't taking too many classes on campus, considering with all the remote learning that's going on. So now we get into a situation where, okay, you've broken some of the school's rules. If you're a regular student, would you be kicked out? If you were arrested like this, if you're living in a dorm, most probably yes. But in this situation, until it goes to trial, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. It's an arrest, but it hasn't been adjudicated yet. So is that going to allow the university some wiggle room to say, okay, let's see how this plays out in court. If he's found guilty, then we'll deal with it, whatever the verdict is. But for now, he's still innocent until he gets his day in court. So let's say that he can play the second half of the first game. I don't know how that's going to shake out, or if they're going to stick to their guns and say, look, the university can't have this, and, he's done, and that's it, and let the chips fall where they may. Yeah. There's so much money involved at this point. It would be hard for me to fathom that a university would just cut bait and say, nope, he's off the team. He's out of school. That's it. Done deal.
Yeah, I think it's more of a – I don't know how it ends. I think it's more of a pause, based on what Nate Oates said, the university has said, is you're off campus for now. We're preparing without you for now. He didn't completely shut the door on him being able to play. And here's the – look, we're not suggesting that dealing drugs, if that is what is happening or being investigated, is a good thing. Probably should find a different career field, especially if you're making a crap ton of money playing basketball at the University of Alabama. But – this is, to me, this is different, and I don't know, people are going to judge this in so many different ways. You judge it how you want to. Folks in the audience watching, listening, we'll judge it the way we want to. We're probably all going to get it wrong if we're being fair. But this, to me, is different than, like, Stephon Diggs, who gets to play in the Super Bowl after allegedly strangling someone on his staff, a violent assault, is different than weed that's legal, but he didn't have a stamp, and we don't know what his intentions were with that. We're talking apples and oranges here. If this had been like he killed his girlfriend, he should be off the team. He should go to prison for life. That's not what we're talking about. So, as you brought up, in the old days, you used to be innocent until proven guilty. Now, that's not actually where we live in America anymore. But if we were being fair, I got no skin in this fight. I'm not an Alabama guy. I'm praying that the Maize and Blue runs the table and makes me really, really happy, because at the end of the day, that's what I want. But I don't know. I don't know that you treat this like it's a homicide, because it's not.
Right. It's a tax stamp.
Yeah.
Is what we're looking at.
And he could, in theory, just sorry to interrupt, he could, in theory, face up to 10 years in jail, they're saying, for these charges. That's not going to happen, but that's how serious it could be.
Right, but his bond was only $5,000.
Right.
So to me, when a bond is set like that, it means, okay, you got caught doing something that you shouldn't be doing, because you failed to comply by getting, the tax stamp so the government can get its money. How this happened, to me, is the bigger story. Was it a controlled buy? If it was a controlled buy, how long was it going on for? How much money are we talking about? Are we talking about somebody who's trafficking within the millions of dollars range? I don't think so, because again, the bond was only set at $5,000. Does this sound like maybe a girlfriend or a side chick knew that he was doing this, selling to his friends or whatever, and got pissed at him and then went to the police to get him in trouble? That's another scenario that, is possibly out there.
Yeah.
But, and also too, we're not sure where he lives. Is this apartment or house or wherever he was, is it in his name? And if not, that also adds to the defense of him of saying, well, I'm renting this place from so-and-so. I had no idea this was here. There's so many different ways to get around, not taking, not taking responsibility for what's happening there, just based on the optic, just from a lawyer's perspective.
Right.
And so if you go that route, especially with somebody like this that is a contributor to your team going into the tournament, then I think those factors being weighed in would be like, okay, this would be fair. Just not have him play the first half of the first game.
Yeah, or even just, I'm not suggesting this is my policy on it. Even just say, until we've come up with a final solution, he's eligible to play.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you wouldn't even have to go, because to me, if you say, okay, he's going to be out the first part of the game because it was an arrest. All right. And we don't tolerate arrests or whatever, that, that's fine. Or like you're saying, we don't know. We don't know how this is going to play out on court. We don't know if he's guilty or not. So why should we punish somebody who has only been arrested but not convicted?
Exactly. And he totally. They know the stats. They know the data behind the scenes. They know the laws locally, nationally, what have you. they might be 100% certain he's going to be convicted. And that's why they're, leaning this way as a school and the local authorities, what have you. But he hasn't been convicted yet. So we've got to let things, and this goes for everything. This goes into the news and politics. This goes into normal law enforcement stuff, and then it crosses over and blends into sports here. If we have a system, and the system is supposed to be you don't get punished until this outcome occurs, if it does in fact occur, I have an issue with it. Again, I'm not condoning his behavior if what they're saying is true. I'm just saying the system is the system. Follow the system. And if you don't like the system, change the system. But we never seem to do that.
Right. And also, I mean, I've got my issues with weed as well when it comes to the people's general thought on weed being something that's benign. Okay, well, I'll take it. Let's just take that argument. It's benign. Okay. But it still has an effect to impair you. And I look at weed the same way I do alcohol. When people, I've worked with in the past who showed up to work on set high, you would never do that with alcohol. People would be like, "What are you, an alcoholic? We can't have you,
Right.
Hanging lights or anything like that, if you've been drinking." But weed is given this kind of weird sort of, it's from the earth and blah, blah, blah. And, it's prescribed. Well, alcohol used to be prescribed.
Right.
Kids, Ernest Hemingway was hyperactive. And at the age of 9, he was prescribed whiskey. So to me,
that's a good pull right there.
Yeah, it's still, an intoxicant. Is it as intoxicating as alcohol is? I don't know. It depends on the strain of weed that you're smoking, I would suppose. But the fact of the matter is, I think people fall into a trap by saying, "Oh, it's just weed. It's benign and it's not a big deal." I still think it kind of is a big deal if you're paying somebody to show up and they're showing up in a state where you're not paying for them to be in that state.
Yeah. Yeah, fair point. I agree. And that conversation's never going to that argument is never going to be over, because there are people who are so far over here, like everything else in America these days, and then there's some truth in between. But let's move on from weed in Alabama. We'll see how that plays out with Aden Holloway potentially missing games, potentially being done with the team outright. We'll see. The NBA, which we rarely talk about in this show, but I thought this was worth talking about because they're going to hold a preliminary vote later this month. It's not the final vote, but a preliminary vote about potentially adding 2 teams in the 2028-2029 season. Those 2 teams arguably would be the Seattle, presumably Supersonics, but Seattle and Las Vegas are the 2 cities they're talking about. And I think there's a lot of people, whether you're a current NBA fan, former NBA fan, who would like to see the Supersonics back, like that green and yellow uniform, like it was a great uniform. Like I'm down with that. I'm a Timberwolves fan. I'm not really an NBA fan. I watched us get our ass kicked on Sunday. We were right in it. They were the Thunder, and then it just went terrible. Everything just went terrible. That team's freaking legit. They're so good. Gosh, they're good. They just have like no points of failure. But at any rate, I think Seattle makes a lot of sense. I think people have been clamoring for it, wanting it to come back. Las Vegas is trendy because they keep getting, the A's are moving there soon. Obviously, they got the Knights in hockey. They've got the Raiders back. They've got all, not back, but they've got the Raiders there. They've got all of this going on. I don't know. The first one makes a ton of sense. The second one makes sense from the way that the team owners look at things. None of it's final. I think that it probably will end up being final. But what are your thoughts, Tom?
Man. I just, last year I spent 6 months in Las Vegas, and there's 2 different Las Vegases. There's the strip side of it with all the casinos and everything, and your constant inflow of tourists from around the world to it. They're not your fan base.
No.
And so the people who live in Las Vegas isn't a cheap place to live like it was the first time that I was there, where houses were going, for $100,000. Now we're talking in upwards of 700 to $1 million. And I'm sure, there's outliers. I don't know what the average, home price in Las Vegas is, but it's pretty steep. The cost of living is pretty steep there. I'd always joke about, every time that I would leave the hotel in Las Vegas, it would cost me $200 right out of the gate, no matter what I did.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a fan base, I don't know if the average income in Las Vegas is in line with the average ticket price for a basketball game or a football game. Yeah, I'm not sure what the stats are, and I probably should have looked into this before we did this segment on what the Raiders were. But the Raiders, to me, are a little bit different because they're a known commodity, and they've got the best one of the best uniforms in the entire NFL. And they've got a pretty loyal fan base no matter where you go. But if you have a startup team in basketball in Las Vegas, I don't know if that makes much sense just based on the transient nature of the people who live in Las Vegas. I know that we've had generations now of people who have lived in Las Vegas who have kids there who grew up only knowing Las Vegas and wanting to root for a home team. I get that part of it. But I also get the fact that you have other cities like a Nashville, where I think Nashville, the amount of growth that it's seen within the last 10 years or so is pretty astronomical. And to me, a Nashville type venue would make more sense for basketball than a Las Vegas, just based on the fan base that they have there.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you just said, and I would add one thing to it, and then I'll come back on a point with Nashville because there's a complication that comes with this play. It's not one that's inconceivable, but Nashville is a great destination right now. Vegas is very transient, and the problem with Vegas and Los Angeles historically for sports, and you can make a strong argument against me on this too, people out there, because some have done well, but like LA has lost lots of teams over the years, right? And then they come back because there's money there and there's influence there, so they get them back. But teams like that, that's good to know. But teams like, sorry, I'm getting notes from David. Teams like that, or cities like that, where there's so much to do and there is such a transient thing, they're not tied to the teams as you're talking about. And then people have other activities that they can do that probably cost less that entice them to go out and do that. So it's all that to say, those are big markets, but they're tough markets because of those things. The Vegas Raiders, by the way, boasted among the best attendance in 2025 season. A strong home, not among the best, but strong home increase from 62,175 in 2024. They bumped up a little bit. Obviously bringing in events, WrestleMania there for a second year in a row. But I think Nashville's an interesting thing. So here's the complicated part about this. What conference would the Seattle Sonics and Vegas whatevers be in the NBA? They'd be in the Western Conference. So you're adding two teams to the Western Conference. So that screws up things in terms of playoffs and in terms of just balance. So in that scenario, one team would have to leave the Western Conference, move to the Eastern Conference. There'd be a shakeup. They've talked about my team. They've talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've talked about Memphis being, one of the two teams who in this scenario would have to shift to the Eastern Conference. If you went Nashville instead of Vegas, you add Nashville in the Eastern Conference, you add Seattle in the Western, done, right?
Yeah. Well, and also, too, I would throw in there St. Louis just as a fan and a fan base. St. Louis, to me, has some of the best fans in the country because no matter what team they field, they always seem to sell it out, and they always seem to have the most rabid fans. Back when the XFL started with the Battlehawks in 19 or 2020, They were sold out. They were the only venue that seemed to be sold out. It's across the line with everything that they do there. Arena football, everything. They just seem to put butts in seats there. So for some reason, St. Louis is always one of these cities that it always gets put on a back burner. But I think in this case, to me, the case could be made to throw St. Louis into that mix.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if Adam Silver and the owners are going to listen to you, but I think that your points for Nashville and St. Louis have been noted here on Balls and Banter and should be considered at the vote in the meetings that are coming up at the end of this month and then later this year.
Or Kansas City. What about Kansas City?
Maybe. I think Nashville's stronger than either the latter two, but yeah, possibly. You mentioned the Raiders uniforms earlier, and they are solid. They don't change. Thank you, by the way, Raiders. Even though you've moved from Oakland to Las Vegas, you've been in Los Angeles, you've been all over the place. You're like
Oakland, Los Angeles, back to Oakland.
Southwest whore, you are, Raiders. But your uniforms have remained consistent. There's something simple that the town we're talking about, Nashville and Tennessee, could have done years and years ago when they took the Oilers from Houston. Sore point for you guys in Houston. I get it. As a Minnesota North Stars fan, what it's like losing your team, different sport in this case, to somewhere else. But you had an option to keep the colors the colors stayed mostly consistent to start. They've kind of changed a little bit and gone to more navy over the years. Well, the Titans came out and announced a rebrand. They've taken the little flame thing off their Titan logo, and it's just a T with the 3 stars that were still there. And they've gone back to an Oilers-themed uniform and Oilers colors. And might I just say, they're delectable. They are... I mean, go back to the Cam Ward one a second ago, that middle one. The stripes that they did on the sleeve and the pants, the stripes in the pants mirror the sleeve. They could have gone more just traditional there instead of like those thin little lines. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish there. I give it an A minus. It could have been an A plus, but it's really good.
Yeah, the only change that I would make, I think a red face mask would look really good with that ensemble.
Which is what they used to have.
Right. But I also feel like Nashville is kind of going through an identity crisis because when the Oilers first moved to Nashville, they were like, oh, we want our own identity. We don't want to have the Love You Blue colors. And so that's when, the whole color scheme came out, and now it's like, oh, we're going to throw it back to what it once was,
right.
Which I think what they went to, I didn't like, I wasn't a fan of. I like this. What I particularly like is on the helmet, and I like the detail of the helmet because the stripe that goes across the top of the helmet, if you look closely at it, I don't know if you can zoom into it, but what they did is a tip of the hat to Nashville and the music scene. They put in
it's guitar strings. Yeah. And that's what the stripe is in the pants too. Okay. I respect that. I still like the old Warren Moon era stripes better, but at least there's a story behind it.
Yeah, there's a hat tip to the music scene in Nashville, which I thought was a tremendous, attention to detail on their part.
Yeah, no, that absolutely gets a clap out of me. And good job for you noticing it, and poor job for me not noticing it. For being someone who cares so much about uniforms. I'm like, these stripes are terrible. What do they mean? It doesn't matter. It does. It does matter. Owners, heed this. Like, pay attention to this. We all want to go back to yesteryear. That's like every generation wants to go back to yesteryear. Stop changing shit.
We want Patriot Pat snapping the football.
100% we do.
We want Flipper with the helmet on going through the sunburst.
You make it really – I mean, I'm a Viking till I die. But, like, you make it really tough when these uniforms go back. If the Dolphins went back to Flipper, if Patriots went back to that dude, you make it really tough not to really like these teams because their swagger and their the drip. It's amazing. Good job, Titans. Baller move. Dick move to start saying, Texans, when you come in, you can't use our colors or the old Oiler logo, but you made up for it by giving us at least an Oiler feel in the modern era. Staying with kind of positive news for some, less so for others, I guess, in the NFL. My other team, my team in the NFL, the Vikings, have signed Kyler Murray to a 1-year deal. He's going to literally be making like what our long snapper makes because the Cardinals owe him $36+ million this year. And look, I think that this is an outstanding move. Everyone's talking about the fact that he's been hurt. Yes, that's true. Everyone's talking about the fact that he's short. That's true. But let's not forget a couple key things here. One, J.J. McCarthy still has a huge upside. J.J. McCarthy could still, likely not, could still win this quarterback battle, and then Kyler Murray is your backup, best backup in the league in that scenario. Or it goes the other way, which is more anticipated, and Kyler Murray wins. J.J. gets some more time to develop, and J.J.'s among the best backups in the league. But what's crazy to me about this is you've got someone, and there's a lot of people who are excited. I think you should be. That's a great quarterback room. Kyler Murray is a baller. He looks like Wile E. Coyote when he's running. So quick. People talk about his height. They don't talk about the fact that even at his smaller stature, he's got great arm strength. Heisman Trophy winner, 2-time Pro Bowler. Yes, he's been injured, but you put him in a Kevin O'Connell offense with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Big Cock Hawk, Aaron Jones in the backfield, some of the other tools, whatever we draft. He's not had that around him. So I think it's a really – and here's the cool thing too. Kyler Murray grew up a diehard Vikings fan. So there's a cool story to it as well. I'm still a JJ guy, to be very clear. But I could see this being more than a 1-year bridge. If he stays healthy and it goes well, I could see it being more than a 1-year bridge. And I don't think that's a bad thing for JJ, and I don't think that's a bad thing for the Vikings.
No, I don't think so either. I think anytime that you have competition in a position, it's good, especially the quarterback position. And, we'll see how this shakes down. People like me, detractors of Kyler Murray because of his height, I would love to be proved wrong. And let's just, let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. Well, again, and for the folks who are in your camp, and I don't know what the split is in Vikings fandom, but it's pretty split. There's a lot of people, and I agree. Anyone who's saying, stop, don't give up on JJ, don't give up on JJ, but give JJ some veteran support. And if that veteran comes in, challenges him, and beats him, then I trust Kevin O'Connell that it's not JJ's time yet, and that's fine. But if it doesn't go that way, and his height or his health or whatever play in, if your number 2 is Kyler Murray, that's a pretty damn good problem to have. Again, 2-time Pro Bowler. When he's been healthy, his stats are through the roof. He has had some good tools at points. He's had DeAndre Hopkins. He's had some other folks. But he hasn't had the full package in terms of coaching, in terms of on-field personnel around him to make his life easier. So when you take the top off with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and you've got the secondary having to adjust and account for that, and then they're paying attention to Hawkinson too. Your linebackers are paying attention to him. They're paying attention to what Aaron Jones or Mason, whatever running backs in the field is doing. I mean, you give him that opportunity. We're like, okay, you're going to take away my primary, secondary, and tertiary routes. I'm just going to use these feet that God gave me, and they're quick, they're elite. So we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting. OTAs, training camp, very interesting. High peak, high stakes, all sorts of stuff going on there. But I said you get excited just talking about training camp. I can't wait. It's a good thing there's a desk between me and the camera right now because this guy's excited. He's excited. That's kind of good news, right? Oilers refurbished uniforms in Tennessee for the Titans, a version of them with the guitar strings, as Tom pointed out. Kyler Murray, an interesting signing. One of the more interesting signings. By the way, Jalen Waddle got traded today from the Dolphins to the Broncos, so Bo Nix picks up another elite weapon there.
Yeah, Peyton's going all in, man.
Peyton's going all in, and the Dolphins are like, we give up. We're just fire sale. It's an estate sale.
It is an estate sale. It's like, your rich grandfather just died and he's got a bunch of shit that's really expensive and you don't know how you're going to maintain it. And you just got to get rid of it. You know, it has some value. It's got some of it has a lot of value, but it just won't fit in your house.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's certainly what it feels like. I'm sure as a partial Dolphins fan who's kind of putting his toe in the water in Buccaneers Kingdom, is disappointed to see this because it is. There's a lot of moves going on that aren't like, yeah, we're a win now team, which obviously they're not. But you could do some things that would help them in the AFC East, and they're just like, nope, we're out. We're out. We'd like to have the number 1 pick in next year's draft, please. That's the route we're taking.
It's kind of restored my faith a little bit that they're having like this giant fire sale, because it reminds me a little bit of when Jimmy Johnson came to the Cowboys and the Herschel Walker deal. It's kind of like, okay, we're not going to be good this season. We gotta totally rebuild, and I feel like this is it. For the Dolphins, they had to do something like this because they kept putting Band-Aids on gaping chest wounds.
Yeah. No, fair point. Fair point. By the way, did you see that we have to pronounce Travis Etienne's name different now?
No. How was it pronounced now?
Now it's HN.
HN?
Yeah. That's how it was always supposed to be, but he said Clemson got it wrong, announcers got it wrong. He's from, Louisiana. He's got that history and legacy name. I'm blanking on the word I'm thinking of. But he announced at his press conference in New Orleans that it's actually HN. So it's like, oh, okay. All right, so we've been saying that wrong the whole time. You and your brother, two stud athletes, we've totally gotten it wrong, and you didn't correct us.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. If that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, then I'm totally fine with it. It's just when somebody has a name that you think you're getting, I can't think of an example right now, but they're like, no, it's pronounced this way. It's like, no, it's not. But if it's actually, the family origin, that's the pronunciation of it, then yes. The only one that I can think of is Joe Theismann changing it to Theismann to rhyme with Heisman.
Yes. Good pull.
Joe Theismann.
It doesn't have the ring. And maybe it's just because we're so used to the other now, but yeah, you can't. No.
Roger Valdesari, for the sports information guy at Notre Dame, is the one who invented that for Joe.
Interesting. I love it. I love some of the history. You always have great history with Notre Dame stuff, too. So lots of buzz about this last story that we'll touch on today, and then we'll get everyone out of here. Please do hit that like button, folks, if you have not already. If you're here for the first time, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, share with your friends, family, colleagues. Do all those positive things. They're all super helpful. Also, reminder, I said it the other day, when we changed the name of the show on Apple, I think just on Apple iTunes podcasts, all of our reviews went away. And they were all very favorable and positive. Thank you to all of you guys. So if you've done one before, please go do it again. If you haven't, please go do it. It takes almost no time. But go give a favorable review over on iTunes, because we didn't know that we were hitting the reset button over there, but we did. And even though it sounds vain, and it is also functional. It's also helpful to everything that goes on over there in terms of the algorithm and just the process. So please go do that. Do all those things.
It helps keep the lights on.
That too. Yes.
Yes.
If you'd like to continue seeing this, the hope is to scale this thing back to 4 to 5 days a week. Well, we could go the other way fast if things don't keep going the way we want them to. So please help out. Do your part. Lots of buzz about this last story. Taken a little bit out of context, shocker, right? In America in 2026, people would read a headline and go the opposite direction without looking into any facts or details. Now, I could see it going this way too, but Polymarket is one of many who put out something saying something to this extent here. You can read this. Just in, Packers CEO says he's looking to sell the naming rights of Lambeau Field should the team's owners, which is the people of Green Bay, fire him. So Ed Policy is the CEO. What he said, and this, again, could be a slippery slope, but what he said was not, we're not looking at, it's been brought up before, it's been shot down by previous leadership. We're not looking to actually sell the name for Lambeau Field. If anyone ever sells and turns it into First Citizens Bank Field or something like that at Lambeau Field, this isn't actually in scripture, but I'm pretty sure you're going straight to hell. You just don't do that. You just don't. It cannot be done. And I hate the Packers. I respect the Packers, but I hate the Packers. You don't change the name of Lambeau Field. But what he really said, if you go in and look further at his comments, is they have their facilities around, the Packers facilities around the stadium. They have, museum type things, practice facility, all that kind of stuff. They're open to exploring because they're one of the only teams in the league who doesn't benefit from those types of finances coming in. They're open to exploring that, not necessarily the stadium. So just to pump the brakes a little bit, it's not actively being discussed, at least according to Mr. Policy himself, which sounds like I'm talking about a policy that's actually just his name. It's not being discussed for the stadium proper, but maybe some of the facilities surrounding it. Still not great, but very different than Lambeau. But I do think it's a slippery slope, and if I'm a Packers fan, that concerns me.
Yeah, it's concerning for the nostalgia of the game, but everything is changing, and it's going to be really hard with the kind of money that you get for naming rights to hold out. I think that they're holding out. They've held out, and they continue to hold out for as long as possible. But I think in the end, you're going to see. I think there'll be some sort of compromise. It might be Citibank Stadium, with Lambeau Field just being the name of the field itself.
Yeah. Well, and here's where this math comes in, and it matters. We're traditionalists around these parts. You are, if you're a Packers fan, no doubt. Here's where this comes into play for you guys, though, because eventually, I think it had been raised before. They keep getting raised. Prices are getting raised throughout the league for tickets. I think it was 11% they jumped. It was 3% the year before, and then it was an 11% jump this year. So as long as you keep, because there's two sides to every argument and discussion, as long as you keep it prestigious and named just Lambeau Field, and it's owned by the people and all the cool things that go along with the Packers franchise, that legacy and that heritage is there. But each year it's going to hurt your wallet a lot more because they can't keep up. Like they had a profit of just under $84 million last year, but they don't have the kind of money. They don't have Jerry Jones money. They don't have the money that some of these other big teams have. So you got to make up for it somewhere. And at the end of the day, it's you people who end up making up for it. So
right.
That's where it's going to be tricky because the figures each year that they're going to get thrown at, okay, you wouldn't listen to us last year. This year we're willing to throw X amount of millions your way. Big, lots of zeros in it. At some point, they're going to be like, okay, we got to figure out how to sell this to the fan base.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, somebody who's a Dolphin fan adjacent, I would say that, when Miami moved from the Orange Bowl to Joe Robbie Stadium became the name, even though it's gone through, Pro Players Stadium to Hard Rock now. And even though Joe Robbie is no longer the owner and we had Wayne Huizenga and now Stephen Ross, people like myself and other, long, old head Dolphins fans still refer to Hard Rock as Joe Robbie Stadium. So there's still going to be people within that orbit, even if a stadium is renamed, that are still going to refer to it as its original name.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. That's true. It's always going to be Soldier Field, Lambeau Field. It's always going to be Joe Robbie. That part is true. But there's gonna be some serious detractors who are not good with it as well. I still call the Redskins the Redskins. I'm not a Redskins fan. I will also always call it Lambeau Field. It could be whatever. Hewitt-Packard Field. I'm not calling it that. Actually, I might, at least to Packers fans, just to kind of put it in there. But I wouldn't call them that to a Vikings fan.
I still call it Three River Stadium.
Yeah, even though it's gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore. It's still, Three Rivers. Legendary. Terrible looking turf. All right, this was fun. Well, we'll look forward to being back on Thursday with you guys. If you're here for the first time, it's a Thursday show currently, 3 p.m. Eastern, every major platform, wherever you podcast, wherever you do social, wherever you watch your videos, it's there. So hit that like button. Come check us back out on Thursday. We'll look forward to hanging with you then. In the meantime, have a great day. Be safe. Be smart. Be free.
We got balls and banter.